I'm Tass Mellis of The Starters.
This is Ben Golliver with the Open Floor Podcast.
Hi, I'm Kristen Ludlow from NBA Inside Stuff.
I'm OG Anunoby of the Toronto Raptors.
Hey, I'm Elena Donan, and welcome to the Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch.
Double Clutch Podcast.
Hello, basketball fans, and welcome to the Double Clutch podcast for WNBA Episode 3. I'm Josh Coyne, and in today's interview, I'm joined by two-time WNBA champion and head coach of the Dallas Wings, Brian Agler. Throughout the episode, Brian talks candidly about preparing for the forthcoming season, the ongoing Liz Cambage trade discussions, Skylar Diggins-Smith's comeback from pregnancy, moving from Los Angeles to Dallas, avoiding exterior distractions, the new WNBA TV deal, dealing with the CBA, women's basketball in Texas, the difference between WNBA and NCAA, and playing professionally in the UK. So, not much. And we somehow managed to cram it into a mere 20-minute interview. So, without further delay, here we go. It's our interview with Brian Agler. Well, I'm really happy you could join us today. I believe you're, in the midst of practice, or you believe you've just come out of practice. So how are you doing today?
Well, we're just sort of in workouts right now. Training camp officially doesn't start till May the 5th. So we've got a little bit over a week to go yet.
Okay, and the ball is kind of now rolling, and as you said, the season is approaching, training camp is approaching. How do you feel about how the off-season has gone, and what's the feeling around camp at the moment?
Well, we've been dealing with putting our roster together and keeping track of our players playing overseas in the off-season, and then we prepared for the draft. That meant, watching a lot of college games, evaluating the talent level at the college level, and then, structuring it for where we thought we could help ourselves in the draft. And we felt like we had a pretty productive draft. And now it's just getting people into town and getting ready for training camp.
Okay, and in terms of the arrivals that you have had through the draft and otherwise to the roster, what do you think you've added to the team from a squad depth point of view?
I think that we've added two really good perimeter players in the draft. We have drafted a solid post player in the draft that coming from the college level. We didn't really do a whole lot in free agency in the offseason. I think it's pretty well known through women's basketball that Liz Cambage has expressed her desire to play elsewhere. So we've been trying to acknowledge that and work towards it to work that out for her. We haven't been able to do it at this moment, but we're still working on it. And so once we get through that, that will sort of be to conclude our off season, because in some way there'll be potentially be a trade made, and then we'll acquire more players, and then we'll go from there. Okay,
so that's probably something you've heard a lot about from anyone that's asked you about the team in recent weeks. So you don't have any update on the situation as it stands?
I really don't. It would probably wouldn't be beneficial for anybody if I commented on that too much. Mm-hmm. It's just a delicate situation, and we're trying to work it out for the best of all parties.
Okay, well, moving on, one recent other development that has arisen is the pregnancy of Skylar Diggins-Smith. As a person, I'm sure you're pleased for her, of course, but I can imagine as a coach, losing her is a tough break. So how do you navigate losing your point guard for a large portion of the season, and how does it differ from losing a player through injury?
Well, Skylar was in here working out this morning, so she's on her way back. I don't have a timetable for that at this moment. I don't know if anybody does, but she's working hard to get back in shape and join the team as soon as possible. I guess on an injury situation, you go through a rehab and there's usually a timetable or a window that you think somebody can return to. And I guess there's probably a window now, but a lot will just depend on, her ability to get back into shape. So I envision Skylar to be a part of the team from the very first part of training camp through. How active she'll be in that role, I don't know yet.
Okay. And is it a case of the training staff working with her, and in terms of throughout the history of the W, is it something that's been kind of well researched enough as to the best way to rehabilitate from such a situation?
There's been a couple other cases, and I think everybody's different that way. I've seen people, respond quickly, and then I've seen people make the decision to take more time off. So everybody's different in that situation, and it's more of a personal thing than it is a team thing. So a lot will be based on Skylar and her timing and those things. But we're not going to get involved in that. We're going to welcome her back. And like I said, she'll be a part of the team from day one, but we'll welcome her back when she's ready to get back on the floor as soon as she feels like it's something she'd like to do.
Great to hear. And that has obviously been a story, people reacting to that. And obviously the news with Liz has been another big story. How do you find when there are kind of exterior distractions like that? How do you find the challenge of ensuring that it doesn't affect the players? Is that kind of a large part of the job as a coach and a leader?
Well, I think, people that know me that have played on teams that I've coached, I think they know that I have a real narrow focus. And part of that is to focus on the people that you have. So that'll be my approach. I'm going to focus on the people that are on the floor practicing with us, and we'll move forward that way. And if, when Skylar's ready and whatever the situation is with Liz's ordeal, then we'll go from there when that person or the new people are ready to be added to the team. Okay.
And looking kind of at the wider WNBA now in a broader fashion, the new TV deal obviously is a huge development. And what do you feel as though that means for the sport and its kind of exposure?
I think like anything else, our league has grown over the 22 years that it's been in existence, and I think this is just another step, another direction that we're going into, widening the viewership of our league. CBS Sports is a substantial market here in the United States, and having 40 games on is going to be a big push for us, a big shot in the arm. So I think it's just one more way how our league is growing, and I think it will reap benefits for us.
Okay, and then kind of another broader subject is the elephant in the room in the league is the CBA at the end of this season. So how much thought have you put into that, if any?
Not really much at all. I think that we have, the league that is, and people at the league office are talking with the union, and they'll sort it out. And it's, sort of out of my control. So when something's out of my control, I tend to move on and not give it much thought. Okay, all right. And in a more provincial sense, Texas has its own sporting culture in a way that many other states do. So how do you think the organization has done at standing out in a somewhat maybe football-dominated landscape since forming a couple of years ago? Yeah, there's a great history of girls and women's basketball in the state of Texas, and it's well respected and it's followed well. I think that our front office has done a tremendous job of growing the season ticket holder base, and that's really the lifeblood of any organization at the professional level is the base of your season tickets sales, because from that you get your corporate sponsorship and those things are that's the income that comes into the team. So we've grown quite a bit in that way over the last several years, and I can, from an opponent coming into the arena here, I've seen it grow. So I've noticed it, and now being a part of the organization and knowing the numbers, we're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league on season ticket sales. So we're real proud of that, and we're working hard to expand that.
Excellent. And you've been involved in coaching in different levels of the game and playing since, you're coaching since the early 90s, and you've experienced a great deal of success. So what do you think it really takes to become a champion in the W, and what separates champions from the rest in the league?
Well, I get asked that a lot, and from my vantage point, I started coaching at this level in '96 and have been involved in it for over 20 years. And I really think, number one, you have to have talent. I mean, there's no question about that. It's not a whole lot different between what we're trying to do and what people in the NBA are doing, and really at the college level. Is you have to have, great talent to have high success. And then secondly, I think you have to have a culture within your organization that really benefits and gives the team and the players a chance to succeed and to have success on the court. And that all starts with, the top down, from the president, the ownership, the front office, the coaching staff. All those things help develop the culture. And obviously the players help develop the culture as well. And if everybody is moving in the right direction and buying into whatever the identity of your team is, then that team usually has a chance to have high success or succeed at a high level. I think then is the specific staff that, how good is your coaching staff? How good is your medical staff? How good is your training staff? That would be the third thing. And then the fourth to me is just the resources. Is the organization giving you a chance to go and find talent? Are you doing the things from our standpoint for the players when they are in the city or in market that attracts free agents? So those things to me are the top four that are really the indicators of whether a team or an organization is going to have success on the floor.
Okay, and you mentioned previously that you did spend some years in college basketball. So what are the main differences between coaching in college and in the W? Is it just simply that the people you're dealing with are professionals and their kind of lifestyle depends on it?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I would say that's probably the second biggest difference is that, you're dealing with adults. We try to treat everybody like an adult. There's a mutual respect that needs to be a part of your interaction and your communication. In college, you're bringing in teenagers and you're trying to develop them into adults. So there's a developmental area. But to me, the number one factor between the differences is in college athletics and in college basketball, both men and women, there's so much more time spent on recruiting than there really is on basketball or the game itself. So the time that these coaches spend towards recruiting probably exceeds the time that they spend actually working on the X's and O's or player development.
Yeah, so it's almost a dual role within the NCAA where you're a scout and a coach.
Exactly. Where here it's primarily just focusing on player development and coaching the team.
Okay, and you experienced some success in Los Angeles, and some fans were surprised to see you move on. How do you remember your time in Los Angeles, and can you shed any light on further light on your decision to leave?
Oh, I had a great time in LA. It's a great city, great fan base. Really love the players, love the organization, ownership group, front office, top notch. There's a reason why, they have success, and they've, had opportunities to win championships and have won championships there. Thought we had a really good thing going there. It was fun. I enjoyed every single day of practice. I enjoyed all the games. I love to see how our team grew, in the 4 years that we were there. So it wasn't an easy decision, but, sometimes it's just time to take on a different challenge and make a move.
And how would you describe your fit between you and Dallas?
I think it's good. We're in a different situation here, team-wise, as we were in LA, but it's going to be a fun challenge, and I'm looking forward to helping. Our goal is to try to position ourselves to win a championship, and I'm really looking forward to working with our team and our organizations to put ourselves there.
Okay, and you mentioned obviously this is going out predominantly to a UK-based audience. You mentioned about your time in the United Kingdom. Can you take us through kind of in more detail about where you played and who it was you played for and how it was?
Yeah, so the 80-81 season, and of course that's several years ago, I played on a team in Blackpool. We played our games in Bolton, but really had a great experience. I know that the game has grown a lot since then there in the United Kingdom, and I've been back a few times since then. I want to come back soon and watch the professional league there. It's always fun to see how the sport's grown, and I really want to do that. I know a few of the players that have played on the national team there, Carly Samuelson being one of them. I know her really well, and we're good friends, and I've worked together with her in LA. And so I admire, the growth of the game and where that national team is going and how the sport's growing over there.
We've been speaking to Carly. She was actually on the recent podcast. She was on the episode before this, so we'll pass on your messages.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Well, we've been enjoying some basketball ambiance in the background because you're speaking to me from the gym. There hasn't been much rim, and we've heard a lot of swishes, so it sounds like things are going well. I wish you the best of luck this season to you and the players. So, Coach, thank you for your time.
Hey, I enjoyed it. Absolutely. Anytime you want to have us on or any of our people on, just let us know. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Double Clutch podcast. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Double Clutch UK, rate and review us on Spotify and iTunes, and most importantly, check us out on the website doubleclutch.uk. Until next time, peace.